In our first story, the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP, meant to be implemented within a 10-year period to help address the problem of corruption in a more strategic and coordinated manner, might not be achieved. Well, the Deputy Commissioner of Shraj, Richard Quayson, is worried that the unavailability of resources might eventually temper its rollout. He was speaking at a capacity building and awareness campaign that took place in Kumasi. Well, we'll have to bring you that story later. But in the meantime, though, we still have to move on to more stories. And the continuous trend of students failing in mathematics during the West African Senior School Certificate Examination has become a major concern to stakeholders in the education sector. The president of the Ghana Mathematics Society, Professor Anku, has therefore called on the Ghana Education Service to make the study of maths more practical. Well, speaking at a dialogue to discuss the continuous failure of students in maths, Professor Anku said the current curriculum does not meet the changing needs of society. Well, this Beryl and Estina Richter's report read to you.
Results from this year's WASI revealed that 99,275, making 31.58% of candidates, failed core mathematics. Professor Anku, director of the Megasa Mathematics Academy and president of the Ghana Mathematics Society, has called for the transformation of the teaching and learning of subjects in schools to reduce the rate at which students fail. At a dialogue to discuss the matter, Professor Anku said a total review of the maths curriculum is the way to go.
It is the curriculum that shapes the thinking of the people in your country, because the curriculum is what you teach in the school system. So education is the major thing that changes development in the whole country. And what of change you get depends on what of curriculum you implement in your classroom. The talk of Ghana beyond aid remains a rhetoric. If we do not change the curriculum, that can help people get jobs to do. It's very, very unfortunate that the many things we need to do through the curriculum is not being done. You give education program to educationists. You don't give it to a politician. No, it's a very serious mistake we are making. The teacher is the one who handles the curriculum, who understands education, who knows what's happening on the ground. Is a teacher. So the teacher unions must be upfront, working on the curriculum. What should be taught and how it should be taught, how its effect should be measured, should be by teachers.
David Edujemfi, Deputy Director of Megasa Mathematics Academy and Coordinator for the Education Ministry in Sunyani, asked for support for teachers to undergo professional development courses during school vacation periods.
Teachers are supposed to go for professional development every vacation. Now we have our 48 days. Let's ask ourselves, how many teachers are going for professional development? Who is organizing it? We don't even have it in mathematics.
The dialogue brought together members from Ghana National Association of Teachers and the National Association of Graduate Teachers, as well as other stakeholders.
Let's take another stab at that first story. Now, National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP, meant to be implemented within a 10-year period to help address the problem of corruption in a more strategic and coordinated manner, might not be achieved. Deputy Commissioner of Shraj, Richard Quayson, is worried unavailability of resources might temper its rollout. He was speaking at a capacity building and awareness campaign for stakeholders in Kumasi. Love FM's Nana Asensu Mensah reports.
Ghana has made great strides in tackling the menace. However, perception of corruption is becoming rampant in our society. To this end, Ghana Integrity Initiative has partnered Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, to intensify awareness and anti-corruption campaign to reduce the menace. Here is Deputy Commissioner of Shraj, Richard Quayson.
We must resource the anti-corruption agencies. Of course, sometimes you will not be able to get all that you want, but getting at least as much as possible to be able to do the work and do it well is important. I believe that we could do a lot more if we had enough resources. I mean, NACAP, we started implementation in 2015. Because of inadequate resources, we have not been able to educate the public much to know what is in the NACAP and what is their role. If we had the resources, I'm sure we would have done a lot more than we have done so far. So the resource is important, and we encourage government to continue to do more.
Meanwhile, Programs Manager for Ghana Integrity Initiative, Mary Ada, urges stakeholders to join hands to kick corruption out of Ghana.
So we believe that going round, bringing all these institutions on board and making them aware of the anti-corruption reporting mechanism so that they get familiar with it, then they own it as well and work as well closely with civil society, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, and also with SHRIDE to ensure that we report. We would be making gains. If not today, at least in the next 3 years, we should be talking about all institutions in Ghana, if not all, at least 70–80% of the institutions working on specific initiatives that seek to bring down corruption.
Reporting for JoyNews, Nana Asensu Mensah.
We have to turn our attention to education, but still remaining in Kumasi, as public and private tertiary institutions have been urged to expand and upgrade faculties in preparation for the first batch of the free senior high school graduates to be enrolled onto the double-track system. The president of the Presby University College, the Reverend Professor Emmanuel Ado-Obeng, says the anticipated increase in demand for tertiary education places a responsibility on all Ghanaians. He was speaking at the second matriculation of the Kumasi campus. Nana Sensu Mensah now reports again.
Double-track system definitely has some merit. It also has some serious challenges.
Professor Ado-Obeng points out the double-track system, which is set to be rolled out next month, will further swell up the numbers.
There is no doubt that within the next 3–4 years, with the free SHS, the universities have to be ready to really take on board this number of students that are going to be, to be produced through the SHS system. So, public universities, private universities, we need to now, from now on, plan to even expand on our facilities to train more faculty, qualified faculty, to find ways, innovative ways of running our degree programs, either by distance, whatever, so that we can together, put our hands around this issue of a number of students coming out through the SHS. So there's a wake-up call for all of us that we need to be ready. We don't have to sit down and in 4 years' time we'll begin to run helter-skelter, looking for solutions to deal with the numbers. So President University College Ghana, we will do whatever we can to ensure that we are ready to contribute our best in attracting qualified students to the university when this comes up.
Professor Ado-Obeng cites the proposed conversion of colleges of education into university colleges as a move that will require more qualified teachers and complementary staff. He urges private universities to set up their graduate programs in education to address and avert any shortfalls.
Now, the issue with this conversion also has to do with the staff that will be required by the College of Education to run the 4-year degree program. Because the College of Education will be expected to run a 4-year degree program, education program. So at the end of it all, the students who come out of the College of Education would have a degree in education. But currently, even as diploma awarding colleges, the colleges have a shortfall in staff. Yes, they may have some qualified teaching staff, but in terms of other supporting staff, administrative staff, the colleges have a serious deficit. We know that TTEL did some work trying to develop the capacity of these colleges, but it's nowhere near the level at which the colleges can operate at an optimum level. So it is important for us, as Presidency University College Ghana, for example.
Now, the newly installed chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Kwabena Nyamiche, says despite 70% of Ghanaians professing to be Christians, it has not impacted our dealings with corruption in the country. Now, according to him, it's time for Christians to focus on being God's representative, as the destiny of the country is in the hands of the church. He promised the Church of Pentecost will partner government at all times and serve as agents of transformation.
At the beginning of his sermon, the immediate past chairman of the Pentecost Church, Apostle Professor Opoku Onyina, as usual, cracked some joke that sought to suggest his time was up.
So last week was Genesis chapter 1, and today is Revelation chapter 1. It shows that I am exiting.
He admonished Christians to stay away from alcohol and always be expectant of the return of Christ.
And if I'm the temple of God, I should prepare myself always to minister. So if I am a priest and I am also the temple of God, then I do not need to drink, because I should make myself always available to minister to the Almighty God.
He told the gathering he was pleased to be leaving office and indicated the continuous criticisms had drained all his energy. He pleaded the new chairman should not be made to go through such treatment, as he may not be able to endure it.
I really feel that I am tired and I need to rest. So that I wanted to see this day, because along the line I saw the whole thing as a great burden pulling me, which I needed the grace of God to continue. And I don't want you to do that to the new chairman.
It was time for the induction, and the new chairman, Apostle Eric Kwabena Nyamiche, was ready to take up the challenge.
Having fully understood the responsibilities that go with the office of chairman of the Church of Pentecost, do you accept the office? If you do, say, yes, I do, God being my helper.
Yes, I do, God being my helper.
He shed a few tears. Apostle Nyamiche questioned why 70% of Ghanaians were Christians, but corruption was still pervasive and endemic.
71.2% of Ghanaians claim to be Christians. However, in spite of the presence of these churches, Ghanaian Christians have not yet impacted our society adequately in a way that eliminates endemic corruption and social evil to reflect the huge Christian presence in our country.
5 other newly elected executives were also sworn in. Nancy Emefa Dradosi, Joy News.
Forever to abide, I have Pentecost.
Congratulations to Reverend Nyamiche there. Of course, we first heard from Reverend Apostle Opoku Onyina, who is the outgoing chairman.
Well, a lot of spirit-filled moments there. And talking about spirit-filled, we know a main focus for our show today is the new National Cathedral to be built by government.
Indeed. How spirit-filled will it be, considering what has to be sacrificed for it to see the light of day? Today we'll discuss it all. We'll talk about what must be removed from the land that has been earmarked, designated for this cathedral, and what's going to be done for those who are current tenants of that land. How much is it going to cost you and I to relocate them and eventually build new bungalows for especially these 9 judges whose homes are fairly new to begin with?
Well, it's a question that has also not only dominated the mainstream media, but also social media. So those discussions will be bordering on how the funding will be done. We're told that will be coming from churches. So government is just providing the land. By what mechanism are we going to pool those resources from the churches? By what way? And by what means and what time? Well, we'll take a look at it.
And by the time it's done, who will be the owner, right? Lots of questions. We'll see if we can get some of them answered this morning.